All right, good morning. This is Dave Gagnon, and this is the Gagnon Group Growth Training for the week. We try to do this every week, 11 Eastern, and we do it right here in the RE Tech Auditorium. So thanks everyone for coming in. Looks like we got about 25 folks in here now. We got some folks coming in on the mobile devices and all of that. So I want to start, first of all, just doing maybe some takeaways or some ahas that came out of the convention last week down in New Orleans. Maybe I could have you guys raise a hand if you were there and want to share. Mitch, I don't see your hand up, but I know you were there, and I know you had a unique perspective being up on stage and sharing on a panel there, as well as leading a breakout. Would you mind just sharing your top takeaways from the event?
Yeah, sure. Hey, it's always amazing to actually put, so that's kind of cool. Funnily enough, they all kind of look alike. It's kind of weird. I found our Sunday event that we did to be awesome. I think that was really helpful. I think you did an awesome job. I think Gene did a great job. I think everybody that spoke did a great job. The best lesson I learned during the week on recruiting was, and I posted it on your page the other day, was the line from Rob Flick that I'm always searching for people that are searching for me. And that really hit home for me. I lost a direct yesterday, and it made me realize that, I've been really pushing to bring on directs versus helping people join pushing. And obviously, if I push somebody and they're not made for what we do as a company, then they're going to leave at some point anyways, and it kind of defeats the whole purpose of building your direct line, because obviously it means nothing if they don't stay. So even though I got a stock award from her, that goes away now. The amount of time and effort we were giving her leads, that money goes away. So it really, to me, that I learned during the week was probably, two things. One, I should probably give up real estate and just do comedy because it's way more fun. And two was the really attract people that want to be with us. Don't try to get people to come over to us.
Yeah, that's a really good share. Thank you so much, Mitch.
Yeah, I mean, as far as like attraction, I'm not really going after anyone. People are inboxing me and messaging me about EXP, and that's how I'm attracting folks. And then I know they'll stay, and then they have the drive for it, like they want it. That's what I've realized. Like, I'm bringing on this week 6 people. So, and I didn't reach out to them, they reached out to me.
Well, that's great. I'm just trying to scroll through the roster here and pick up on who was talking right there. I didn't see a bubble over your head. Who was that?
It was me, Rizwana. I'm on my phone, so you don't see me in the avatar.
Oh yeah, no, Rizwana. That's fantastic. And so, how are you staying in front of folks so they're seeking you out?
So I'm very active on social media. One of the people that I brought in was from Instagram, and they've been watching my page for a while, for like 2 months, she said. So I've been just posting really what I do as a realtor, because I feel like, like the whole revenue thing is awesome, but a lot of realtors are looking to grow their business as a realtor, get more closings, get more traffic. So I just, like, every time I go show a house, I take a picture of the house. You know what I mean? And they're seeing, like, okay, this girl is busy. And then they ask me questions like, who are you with? How do you get your leads? And then I talk about KV Core and lead generation and all that good stuff. So that kind of strikes up a conversation.
Yeah, that's really smart. Thank you so much for sharing that, Rizwana, and congratulations on the growth that you're having. That's great. One of the self-realizations that I had that I've layered into my conversations since coming back has really made a huge difference, and I want to share that with you guys here. I've always done the 5 pillars, right? I used to call it the 4 pillars because I put the technology and the training in the same pillar, and I forget who it was. One of you guys, pointed out that the training and the tech are so different that they require their own pillars. So, I always do the 5 pillars. I always, give them equal time in my explanation and all of those things. And what I've changed, and this has been very significant and very telling, is once I do the 5 pillars, I ask them which of the 5, give me the 2 that they're most interested in, that would be most compelling. And then that's where we focus the rest of our time because, whatever excites me about it, for me with revenue share, and knowing where it's been and seeing where it's going, I always assume that, other people want to make what I'm making, right? And so I've had a tendency that I focus on that. Since making that shift, they're telling me what they're most interested in, and that's all I'm talking about. The other 3 pillars or the other 4 pillars are fantastic, but they need to leverage what's most important to them at this point in their career. And so if it's lead generation, I jump into KV Core, I show them what we're doing, I show them, we got over 100 leads rolling in every month. If it's training and education, I'll pull up the training calendar, ask them what's important to them, what do they want to learn about, and show them anything from the I conversations to script scrimmage, whatever's important in there. But a lot of folks that I'm talking to, what I'm hearing is the split, right? If they're at a traditional brokerage and they're at 60/40. That's huge. Or maybe they're at Remax and they're paying this big fee every month and they can get rid of the fee so they don't have this big bill hanging over them when they're not closing something. Or if they're doing a lot of production, the cap is a huge, piece to talk about. And sometimes it's the stock or the revenue share. And so now that I'm matching the message to the market, I'm finding the conversation that I have after the 5 pillars is much more productive.
Hey, Dave.
Yes.
One of the things that I found, I've had 2 interviews since New Orleans. And one of the things that I took away from Gene, which is really difficult for me, as you know, is to shut up. So instead of going through the 5 pillars, I just sat down with this one guy's a team of, I think, about 20 agents. And I said, so tell me about yourself, just like you said. And he talked for about 10 or 15 minutes. And within that time period, I got that he was trying to learn how to recruit more with KW. He was trying to learn how to... but he wanted to recruit for his team, not for KW conversation. But by the time he was done, I literally only had to talk about revenue share and how I can help him do team building. And so you're right. So you just really listen to what they're saying versus trying to, spread out all this stuff. It really works really powerfully.
Yeah, that's great. I thought the convention overall was, very professional and very polished. Mitch, your speaker's open there.
Sorry.
Yep, no worries. If you have headsets on, you can leave them open, but if not, you got to click it off. But I thought all of that was great, and to hear the announcements from the company and the panels were awesome and all of that. But the Sunday event that we had focused on growth, I was absolutely blown away with the collaboration and sharing that went on. I found so many positive nuggets in there that I was ready to come home right after that event. So having Gene speak, and we originally were only going to have him for 20-25 minutes, and to have him share so much stuff, I thought was very impactful. John Sellers.
Hey, Dave. So one of the things that I took away, I knew that it was important to have folks from our group there, and I thought in my mind it was. And when I got there, realizing that I think I out of 70 in our group there, they got things out of that I could have never told them, and recommitted again, or really got them, or their eyes opened. That there was just no way for me to explain it here, and that reaffirmed to me it. Going from event to event to help my team to really understand the company as a whole, and what the opportunities don't get. That setting just sets the stage, I guess.
Yeah, your first aha on an event like that can be your most impactful, right? So it's always, I'm going to go to the event, and I tell everyone else they should go to the event, and then you get there and you're like, if they were here, it would be so much more powerful for them, right? And so if the 70 people that we had there, take that as their lesson, and they get all of their key people to come to the next event, that's when it becomes exponential in the growth. In the last 30 days, I think we've added 94 people in my RevShare group through 7 levels, and many of you guys are level 4, 5, 6, 7, and you're adding numbers that don't show in my numbers. I think we're adding about 250 people a month into the company, even though it's about 94 in the group, and that's power, right? That's changing the trajectory of the company. And you think about the folks throughout the organization that are having these great successes, so that's why I decided that I'm going to host another event in 90 days. I'm locking down the dates on that now. I'd like to do a joint one with Brent Gove. He's invited us to do that, and I just need to confirm that he can handle the full size of our group. So I'm hoping to lock that down in the next couple of days. Once I do that, I'll be putting up an Eventbrite so you guys can register and all of that good stuff. So anyway, I'll get that out to you guys. Thanks for sharing that, John. I want to give a special thank you before I call on Renee. Renee, you were awesome in supporting Nathan with his guests that he had at the event. Judy, got herself down there to meet everyone and to check us out and those kind of things. And after Sunday's event, she was ready to come on board. So she's put her application in. She signed her ICA. We're in the process of moving her over today. And many of you were very kind to her and very supportive. And Nate and I were chatting last night, and he had mentioned that you helped her come to the decision that she wanted to do her application that night instead of the next day. So that was very cool. And I'd love for you to share your ahas and takeaways, Renee.
Well, thank you, Dave. Listen, Judy is so fantastic. She's a spitfire. You got a great one. Enjoyed her company, as I'm sure many of us did. She was outstanding. We spent quite a bit of time together because we were sitting near each other during the Gagnon event. And then we sat together at dinner that evening, and she was so cute. She says, "Yep, that's it. I'm ready. I'm going to meet Nate tomorrow." Well, I didn't ask Nate, so I'm glad he was happy and made himself available, because I went ahead and spoke for Nate, and I said to Judy, "Well, what are we waiting for tomorrow for? I'm sure Nate will go take care of this right now." And she said, "By all means, yes, let's do it." And I said, "Sorry, Nate, I guess you're working tonight." But anyway, all is well that ends well. I'm glad that she's moving over. She's great. As far as the takeaway, there are so many takeaways. We literally brought home tons of notes. I ask EXP agents often what their favorite tool or resource is that we receive as EXP Realty agents. And, you know, I feel like you get all sorts of amazing answers. We have outstanding resources. My takeaway from the event is a huge aha that the biggest, most impactful resource we have are each other. It's the people. I'm still dumbfounded. I get a little teary eyed. I get a little emotional. I've never been a part of something like this. And so the power that we have is with each other. Not only are we an outstanding group, all EXP Realty agents, but the fact that we are open books and the power to collaborate is like none other. So for me, that's where it's at. I knew we were going to have a great event. I had no idea. I'm home feeling like I was a part of something as special as we are. And it is the focus of Jeff and I to make sure that we have as many team members and group members there well, it's in Orlando, shareholders, so they better all come. But the next EXPCon in Vegas as well, we really will represent. Because to feel that and to feel what it feels to be around this special group of people is a very powerful feeling. That it's a wave and we can ride it. That momentum is great. So thank you for what you did, Dave, and thank you to all for sharing, because you guys really contributed so much that it just it's humbling.
Thank you so much. That's a great share. Yeah, boy, oh boy, getting together just gave me goosebumps. I love those live events. I love that we have this powerful tool, and it's awesome that we can do this every week and be plugged into the entire company. But getting together like that was just so powerful for me. Jeff, are you in a position that you can share a little bit?
Yeah, Dave, I'm here. So I enjoyed the conversation with everybody, and I think that the thing that I took out of there is, in their own market, a lot of times that you feel like you're kind of segregated a little bit between the different EXP agents, and that we're really all one here. And we need to start doing some more things together and utilizing each other's resources. Just talking to people in the Orlando market, we were all psyched to be there, and I think it brought us closer together. So I love that. I did a video that's on Facebook, and it's also on Workplace. That was, in 3 words or less, what does EXP mean to you? And it really it brought out a lot. There were some great answers there. I think it's could be used as an agent attraction video for everybody. I think it's something that really gets the heart of the company, and that everybody believes in this company. So I thank anybody here that did the video with me. Thank you for doing it.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Joe Yates, you were the first one to sign up for the Gagnon event. Thank you for leading that off. And I know it was your first event with us. Would you just share your takeaway on that?
Hey, Dave. Actually, I'd been to the Vegas one, but we were brand new, and we weren't worth remembering, quite honestly. But no, the event was amazing. All of us got done after seeing your event there with Rob and Gene and Mitch and yourself, and right then I could have just pretty much boarded up, went home, like you said. The value was already there, so we're so looking forward to what you can do in 90 days and every event afterwards. We're fired up.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. Let's see. How about from Meg?
Okay. I hate being called on, but this event just really cemented for me that EXP is all about the agent. And regardless of what part of EXP you like more, it really is all about the agent. So there you go.
All right. Thank you so much, Meg. And thank you for everything that you did to support me in making that event a success. I appreciate it. All right, I'm going to call on my partner and son, Nathan. Nate, this was your first event. Would you share your ahas on it?
Yeah, so for me, it was really cool to see all of you guys there. My dad and I are pretty close, and even though I was not part of EXP for the last 2 or 3 years, I know a lot of your names. And so it was very cool to be able to see people that were having success within EXP and hearing how it really has changed people's lives. And it really just fortified me to, be excited to share EXP with other folks. And sometimes it turns into a grind. You hear people say this or that or have the same objection, but to see you guys there, great real estate professionals and business people, and realize that I kind of have the same opportunity as you guys here to grow and that sort of thing. It was just, that was a huge mindset shift.
Thank you so much for sharing, Nate. It was great having you there. And I think, for me, it was more special because, same kind of thing where you have so many awesome business partners and you go to the event and you get super stoked, as Glenn would say, and now you want to share it. I know for several years, I came back from events and told you how excited I was and those kind of things, but this is the first time I was able to get you to an event live, and I could just see things change within you over the couple days of the event. So thank you for investing your time away from your family to come down and to be with my business family. Let's see. How about Richard Eimers? I think that was your first event, wasn't it, Richard? I know I'm calling on you guys without you being prepared. Maybe you don't have headsets. How about Randy Reese from New York?
Sure. So for me, a couple of things. One, from your event, Dave, which I thought was so great. I mean, I literally wanted to run out of the room and straight to the airport as soon as it was over. Hearing Gene Frederick talk about emotion and connecting on an emotional level was big for me because I'm a numbers guy. So I typically think to the potentials for revenue share right off the bat, and that really speaks to me. And in my presentations to people, I sometimes bring that out a little bit too heavy. But reaching to them on an emotional level and getting them to feel what it might be like to feel some of the benefits of being at EXP, I think that that's going to transform some of my presentations to people. So I'm really happy about that. And then for the rest of the trip, I mean, the networking possibilities are endless. The quality of the people that I met, everybody is hugging, shaking hands, smiling. It really was a great, I've been to a couple of KW events and not saying anything bad about that at all. I thought they were great too. This just seemed to take it to a different level. Everybody seemed to be that much happier about being here and sharing as opposed to just being at a KW event looking to get referral business. This was more about everybody getting together. And that rebar event was a lot of fun too. I really enjoyed that too. In fact, I know I'm going on a little bit here. What really, really struck me at that rebar event is that I went to one of the sessions, and it was a really small session. It was only about 15 people. So we all pulled our chairs around in a circle. We were on team building, and we were all sharing ideas for the first 5 minutes or so. And all of a sudden, I heard a voice from behind me that I recognized. I turned around, it's Glenn. So there's Glenn sitting there in a pair of sweats and just hanging out, offering advice. It turned out he pretty much led the meeting for 45 minutes. The CEO of an almost $1 billion company that will sit with 15 people who are just everyday regular agents in the company and share all of his knowledge with us. It really was incredible.
Randy, I was in that too, and wow, did I feel like I stepped in the most amazing, just coincidental room, because they were like people, and Glenn Sanford talking to us about strategies on how we can improve our team building. Where on earth would you ever have access to something like that? It blows my mind.
It's like Warren Buffett walking in and giving you investing advice, right? I mean, it was incredible.
Yeah,
very casual. It was a great session.
Yes.
Yeah, and that that kind of drives home the importance of getting to every event that matters to you, because you don't know who's going to show up and who's going to share, right?
The accessibility of everyone at this company, from the the agent who's coming on and hasn't done his first deal, to the guy at the top of the totem pole, is just unparalleled.
Yeah, I think it makes it pretty special. All right, thank you for sharing, Randy. Pat, I don't know if you have a headset on, Pat Bertrand, but would love to have your share. All right, I'll skip over Pat. Steve or Sally, it was great seeing you guys down there. It was great having Jeff down there too. Sally, nice share at the event. Would you guys like to give your top aha from the event?
Steve, I really, can you hear me all right?
Yes, Steve.
Yeah, it was great to see everybody there in person, and to rebuild your network within the organization. I was just blown away by the whole thing. I've been to a lot of conventions, a lot of events, and so forth over the years, but I really like good things. The rebar was fantastic, and of course, your meeting was really top notch. Really got a lot of ideas out of that, and I'm in a better position to encourage people, to go to these events, knowing, how they had played on me. And I think you're going to start to see more people attending, because that was one of the best events I've attended.
Thank you. And I know someone you brought into the company, Andy Armada, also was a guest speaker for us too, and I thought he did a dynamic job. What a great business partner you have there.
Yeah, he did do a great job, and I'm just going to jump in, and apologies because I've actually lost my voice, but I thought it was the whole event was fantastic, very unlike other conventions that we've attended in the past. Just the ability to be so connected with people, so it was amazing. It's amazing, and my favorite event was yours, Dave. That was worth the whole thing to me.
Well, thank you. Really, really ours. But I was glad to host it and have so many awesome people there. And thank you for that. Let's see. Howard, I don't know if you have your headset on, but you are agent number 1 in my group, and I appreciate you like crazy. And I'm excited that your group now is about 350. Would you just share a little bit your number 1 takeaway?
Hey Dave, I still have lost my voice from the I have a number 1 takeaway, but I do have a few things that I think I'd like to say. One is, I found it interesting, and I think this tells you something about it, is there were at least half the people that were at EXPCon 1 were at this. So it's 5 years later, they're still at the company, they're still coming to events, and this event was 1,000 times better than last year's. Your event, don't take this wrong way, I wasn't planning on staying for the whole thing, and I just couldn't leave. It was one great speaker after another. The agents that gave, as you said, Andy, he was awesome. That was the first chance I ever got to meet him. And he even helped me later on with an event that I did on Monday. For Halloween, I want to be Jeff Funk. And I want to change what I said on the video from awesome, awesome, awesome to the people, the people, the people. It's just, they were talking about Glenn. I also want to throw Jason, at your event, who gets to hear Jason talk? Who knows how funny he is and how giving. And both of them are the same guy today as they were, as far as I'm concerned, as they were when I met them in 2013, when, I don't know if we were a struggling company, but we certainly were a little company. the growth is blowing my mind every time I go to these things. And your event was awesome and way more than I had thought or expected. And congratulations to you, and thank you for putting that on.
Yeah, thank you so much, Howard. And thank you, for seeing the vision of the company and the opportunity back in the early days when we were only a couple hundred people. And I know we weren't even in Connecticut or New York at that time. And when you see an opportunity and you're excited about it, you want to share it with everybody, and you don't know if anyone's going to follow you, right? You can be excited about it, but you can have doubts too, whether anyone else is going to see it. And so to talk with you early on and to have you see it and to have you be excited and to know that you wanted to be my business partner and help me build, that gave more fuel to the fire and more passion and more belief in it. And I don't think I have had the opportunity to talk about the opportunity at EXP without mentioning your story, right? So the people who follow you first, you're tied to forever. So thank you so much, Howard, for being on the journey, and thank you so much for bringing key people in. And I could not be more excited to see your success and know what the future holds for you as you continue to help us grow.
Well, thank you, and I'm actually more excited now, and I still don't understand why everybody doesn't join us.
Because they're not looking for us yet, right? Like Mitch said, quoting Rob Flick, I'm looking for people who are looking for us, or I'm looking for people looking for this opportunity. And Nate and I talk to people all day long, and it's just amazing that you can talk to one person, say the same thing, and they are excited and they want to watch the video, and they're booking an hour for a follow-up, and they're booking time to have breakfast, lunch, dinner, happy hour, whatever. And then you meet with them and they're excited and their toe is tapping and, all of that. And then you talk to someone else, literally the next call, and you say the exact same thing. And they're like, meh, I'm not interested. And it's like, what? And it's not so much the message; it's whether the person hearing it is looking for that opportunity. And so I think us remembering that as we're having our conversation gives us balance, right? And so a glass of water to a drowning person and a glass of water to someone in the desert mean two different things. And so, getting in front of the right people at the right time in their life is, I think, one of the strongest lessons that there are. Jeff Richmond, can you share a little bit?
Yep, I just had to find the mute button there. I thought that your event was fantastic, Dave, and it was a big eye-opener, I know, for all of us. I think my biggest takeaway, well, I had a couple, so I'll share those. One of them was just the importance time to pour into each other, and both in our downline, which I know is really important. We had a lot of people there who are part of our team, and we were so excited to be able to spend time with them and did that. And additionally, though, I can't tell you the number of people at this conference who poured it into me. Some of whom didn't have a horse in that race, so to speak. In other words, my success isn't necessarily going to directly bring them wealth. And that spirit of giving and then that sense of support coming from the company is really important. And so I'm trying to find ways to pay that forward as well, and make sure that I'm a part of other people's success, whether or not I have a direct financial connection to that, because I think that's part of culturally who we are. And I heard somebody say something at the conference that I've heard before, but it makes a lot of sense to me, which is culture is what we do. It's not what we say we do. And so, I think as we continue to grow as a company, everybody asks the question, well, how are we going to keep the culture the same? And the answer is keep doing the same stuff. So I that was one of my and frankly, just that I really love a lot of people who are at this company. It's a really cool experience to be working in a place where you just like the people who are there, and so that's it lit my fire a lot. We're back and cranking. Already had appointments this week, and so I know how important showing up at this stuff is to make sure that your engines stay stoked, super stoked. Okay.
I love that. Thank you so much. So one of the things that has happened for Nate and I recently is, we've been doing a lot of attraction, and of course, with my little group, about 1,400 folks or so. We're in 45 states, and I don't know now, maybe 300 MLSs. And so most of the conversations, most of the attraction conversations that I've had um, uh, in my 5.5 years have been, on the phone and getting people into the cloud, and helping them understand the opportunity and the model and all those kind of things. And so since Nathan has come on board and been partnering with me locally, we've been talking to people local, right? And so that's been a big focus, and so it's led into breakfast meetings and lunches and dinners, and a beer, and all those kind of things. And I'm even more excited about it. And so now we've started down the journey of doing lunch and learns, and so we just booked the first one. We're going to do it. The location's not locked yet, but it's going to be in southern Maine, or Seacoast, New Hampshire. So either Portsmouth or York. And so for anyone in our group that, you have people in that area, if you can get them to that area, have them come up. That's going to be on December 11th. And it's going to be right around that noon hour. So I know we have a location, but we don't have the event up yet. So once I have that, I'm going to put it in the Gagnon Facebook group. You don't have to be there, but if you know someone in the area, you have a great relationship, definitely invite them to come, and let us know that they're going to be there, and have them put you down as the reason why they're showing up. I'm going to be doing a couple with Nate around New Hampshire. And so we're working on getting those booked. And so as soon as we have them booked, we'll be letting you guys know that too. I was not going to do, the Rock the Comma, type thing this winter, but I am going to do a couple. And so, for some of you guys, if you can pack a room and I can fit it on my calendar, I want to be able to do those for you too. But I think everybody in the organization who has the ability to be in front of the room and convey the message in a professional and dynamic way, you guys should be doing lunch and learns every week. And so I want to spend the tail end of this meeting talking about lunch and learns and getting people to them. The lunch and learn block, you should block out an hour and a half or 2 hours to make sure that you're there, you get it set up, and then you can do the event and then be available for follow-up Q&A afterwards, so you can set up one-on-one meetings to answer their questions and bring them through the commitment process, right? So they go through getting signed up. And so I'm just going to talk about the format and some scripting and dialogue around that. So we have the event coming up. We're going to have people show up before noon. We're going to start at noon, and there's going to be a sign up, right? So I think that's a critical part of doing a lunch and learn, is that someone is handling the intake. And so let's say Fred and Barney are showing up. They're going to put their business card in the fishbowl if you're going to do a drawing for something, and I think you should do a drawing for something. Does not have to be a big thing. It can be a $10 Dunkin' Donuts or Starbucks card, or maybe your lender or your title company has a drawing once a year for a local sports team or something like that, right? So it doesn't have to be something off of every event, but hey, there's a pair of tickets to go see the Red Sox, and we do the drawing, on May 1st, and then every event that you do, you're having people put their cards in for the drawing. So it doesn't have to be a big ticket item at every event, right? But we want to compel people to put their card in. So we want that. And then we want to sign them in. And so at the least, I want their name and I want their cell number so I could let them know if they win the drawing. And then I want to know who invited them to the event. So let's say, for example, we have 5 or 10 EXP people in an area, and they could all be inviting people to the event. They all know Fred, let's say, and in their heart they are all hoping that Fred is there because of them, and if Fred joins, he's going to name them, right? And so I think this part is very critical. I want to ask Fred who invited him here today. And if he says, well, Nate and Dave both invited me. Well, that's great, Fred. Who would you say is most influential in getting you here today? And if he again says Nate and Dave, that's fine. I'm going to write down Nate and Dave. But if he says, Dave picked me up and got me here, or Nate gave me a call to remind me about it, otherwise I would have forgot it, then I'm going to put down Nate, right? And so that just helps that no one is going to have their feelings hurt if Fred does join and names Nate. Well, that's the way it should be. And so we never want people to, worry about sponsorship. Someone got there, we're presenting the message, to everyone, and we want the person to truly name who their sponsor should be in their heart of hearts. And we most certainly do not want anyone getting their feelings hurt or acting inappropriately, trying to encourage someone to name them. Just let them go through the process, right? I think that's very important. So now I want to have lunch at the event. It doesn't have to be an expensive lunch, right? Something like Panera sandwiches, half sandwiches, right? And you can get it sponsored. Your mortgage and title can provide the room, the facility, and food. And your job is you're getting people in front of your business partners, right? Your mortgage and title people, and you're thanking them for supporting this and all of those things, right? So it's a win-win-win for everybody. For me, we're doing lead generation in KV Core, and so for our loan officer, we've added her into the pool of options, right, that people can choose as their loan officer, and then we've brought her into our KV Core program, and so now she's getting all of the mortgage leads on the leads that we're generating, right? So we're giving back, and that makes a great partnership, right? I don't need tickets to a Red Sox game. I can afford my own tickets. What I want from my mortgage partners is to help me with events, right? So now someone comes in, they sign in, they pick up their sandwich and their beverage, and they go sit down. The room's set up classroom style, right? Chairs and a table in front of them, so they can eat lunch during the presentation. Great. Now I'm going to do the presentation. I'm going to keep it, it's booked for an hour. I'm going to keep it under 45 minutes. And I am going to do, my version of, why is EXP so wonderful? So for me, and I'm only using, company slide deck, which is the approved model. I can have one slide about myself. And so I can, tell my story a little bit, and then I can do the 5 pillars, right? I'm not going to get into, all the stuff. I mean, there's an awful lot of slides. It take an hour and a half to cover everything, but I want to make sure that I cover a little bit on each of the 5 pillars, and I want to do that equally, because I don't know whether someone's going to be more interested on having a cap or a higher split or generating more leads or the stock or the revenue share, whatever it may be, right? And so, and then for me, I like telling, some success stories, right? Someone who's, come over and has grown their business significantly, like Aaron Browning. someone who has come over and transformed how they can help agents, right? From running a brokerage of 40 to now leading a group of 350. And I believe it'll be 500 or more by the end of this year and well over 1,000 next year, like Mitch or Steve and Sally, right? And so if I'm in an area and I know of successes, I most certainly want to share that. I heard a success story with one of our teammates, Laura, who was talking about just by participating in the stock purchase program and being here for a year, and how that has changed her perspective on her real estate career. Right, being in real estate for 20 years and not having a strong savings program, and being here for a year and just having an autopilot program where she can be contributing and participating in the growth of the company by using the money that she was spending for a franchise fee with the prior company, and seeing what that turns out to be. I mean, there's just so many positive stories to talk about. I just want to throw one out that reinforces lead generation, like I talk about Pat Keeler all the time, one that reinforces the education, one that reinforces the financial model, one that reinforces the fact that you get stock awards here instead of plaques, and revenue share. Mitch had shared a story about one of his teammates where rev share is now funding the college education of one of that agent's children, which is something that they were concerned about being able to pay for, right? I mean, that's huge. And it's not rah-rah, and it's not get 10 who get 10 who get 10, and wow, it's a big number. It's real life, right? Real people where they can transform their real estate business. They have more income opportunities. They have more investment opportunities, and they have the ability to learn how to run a business within a business, not just do transactions. I mean, transactions are great, but having more opportunity is dynamic, right? And so we do the presentation. We thank everyone for coming. We end early. And then we want to make sure that we say hello to everyone who is there. I think it's very important that you shake the hand of everyone as they come in, introduce yourself. For me, it's very important that everyone has a "Hello, my name is" badge, and when we're signing them in, we're writing their first name in big, bold marker, because I am terrible with names unless I've eaten with someone or had a beer with someone, unless I've heard their story. It just doesn't stick with me. You can say, "Hi, my name is Fred." I say, "Hey, Fred, it was good to meet you." And then if there was a question as to what your name was at the end of that sentence, there's a chance I wouldn't remember it. And it's not because it's just the way my dumb brain works. So anyway, for me, right, big name badge, and so I can call the person Fred the entire meeting and remember their name at the end of the meeting. People like Gene are amazing, and they can meet 25 brand new people at the beginning of a session and remember their name a year later, right? And so all of us have brains that work differently. I did play football. I do have a little bit of an excuse, and then talk with them afterwards, and set a time to follow up. And so I think the power of doing the lunch and learns is not that I get to be in front of a group of people, right? Because I can do 40 calls during a week, and I know I am just as effective doing those calls as I am doing an event. Where the power of a lunch and learn comes in is the fact that everyone that I have in the area doesn't need to be as good a presenter as me. They just have to bring someone to the next meeting. That's the power. And so you have your business in your local area. you become dynamic at giving the presentation. You become polished at giving the presentation. And when you bring in your first person in your area, don't worry if they can't do the presentation. Their job is to bring someone with them next week. Does that make sense? And that's how you gain fast momentum. All right. And so, if I go somewhere and I do a presentation for someone, I don't want to set them up that they now need me to come back in a week or a month or a year before they can do another event, right? That's slow growth and it's bottlenecked. What are some good scripts to get people to want to come to the Lunch and Learn? That's a really good question, David. For me, it's really about curiosity, right? And so, David, if I were talking to you, let's say we just got done doing a deal, I would call you. I'd say, hey, David, thank you so much for helping us get through that closing. I know that, we're both representing our customers, very passionately throughout the process. And man, I respect the heck out of you. That was a great transaction. Thank you so much. I'd love to grab lunch with you next Wednesday. Are you available? Yep. Great. I'd love for you to come and take a look at what we're doing too. How about if I pick you up? We'll have a sandwich together. I'll introduce you to my partner Dave. He'll be talking about the expansion in the area. And worst case, you know what's going on. You know what it's all about. And if you're ever looking to make a change in the future, you'll know what the deal is. Fair enough? Great. I'll pick you up at 11:30, and we'll go over and meet Dave. See you then. Does that make sense? Good script?
Can you hear me, Dave?
I can now, David.
There we go. So, and that's what I've done with almost everybody I do a deal with. I invite them to lunch just to sit and talk to them. Sometimes when I get into that bit of a script, I run into, oh no, I'm fine. I'm not interested in anything. I'm really happy where I'm at. And so I'm trying to find an easy way to transition from that into, just for the sake of curiosity, let's hang out, have some lunch, and even trade some ideas or what have you. And so I guess what I'm asking is there something that you have found or anyone in this group has found that works really well to get from the transitioning from the original, hey, come have lunch to, well, why? And then, well, no, I don't want to do this. Do you just kind of let it go at that? Or is there anything you press on forward after that initial, oh no, I'm good, I'm fine where I'm at sort of thing?
Yeah, so there's two dialogues that I find that work for me fairly well. One is feel, felt, found, right? So this is first time I heard the concept, it was by Zig Ziglar and then Tommy Hopkins, and so many people train on the dialoguing. But I would say, David, I really understand how you feel. In fact, I felt the same way. I was not looking for a change when I heard, how this thing worked. But what I found is it was amazing enough that I made a change after I knew all the facts. And so I wouldn't want you to commit to making a change just to go out to lunch. I'd love for you to come to lunch, understand things the way I do, and if the time is right now, wonderful. And if it's right 2 years from now, I just want to be the first phone call. Make sense?
That sounds good. Thank you.
The other one that I like a lot is this one. Just role play this with me, David, if you would. Right? So David, you're at Coldwell Banker now, and you love it and can't imagine making a change. That's fantastic. Tell me, who were you with before?
You know what, you're breaking up. I couldn't hear what you were asking.
The question is, who were you with before being at Coldwell Banker?
Oh, I was 21.
Pardon me?
I was at Century 21.
Century 21. And so are you happier now that you made the move?
Oh yeah, I'm completely happy. Everything's great. I don't really want to make any changes after making. I'm good now.
Yeah, yeah, fantastic. But by making the change to Coldwell Banker, you're happier now, right?
Oh yeah, yeah, things are great.
Well, good. The thing is, David, I don't want you to hurt yourself by not being even happier, right? I mean, you were happy at C21, you learned about Coldwell Banker, and you decided to make a change, and you've been happy. Why would you deny yourself the ability to be even happier if this is actually better? Doesn't it make sense?
Yeah, I get that. I'm just I made my change, bought all my signs, and I'm just really comfortable and happy with who I'm working with now. But I appreciate the offer.
Yeah, absolutely. If the signs were no problem, if the signs were free to make a change, would that make it easier for you?
Yeah, I'm just really not interested in moving on over right now. I'm really comfortable where I'm at.
Fantastic, David. The beautiful thing is I'm only looking for people who are looking for a great opportunity, and I'm glad you found yours. Let me just ask you this. If you were to do something, and if this was an amazing opportunity, who's the first person you would want to share an unbelievable opportunity with? Who would your business partner be?
Gosh, I haven't really thought about that.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. I hope you have an amazing year and continue to grow. And if you wouldn't be offended, I'll check in with you next year just to see how things are going. Fair enough?
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay. And that's how I would end it there.
Yeah, okay. That's good. I like it. I like the approach.
All right. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for sharing.
Can I add something in there?
Please do, Randy.
Just quickly, I thought that Hank Avink also gave a great presentation on your event, Dave.
Oh my goodness, didn't he? That was great.
And something that he said that really struck home with me is that when all is lost, find a way to let me be your backup quarterback. I think that that's a great ending because it keeps the person thinking about that he's got somebody in his pocket. If things don't work out where they are, go back to the backup quarterback, which.
Absolutely. And so Hank's presentation, he did this, he's got this diagram on the success, right? So the 6 steps of having success and building a foundation and transitioning and all that kind of stuff. I thought it was excellent. And he is going to be in here next week on November 7th. Same time, 11 a.m. Eastern, and he's going to be your presenter for next week, and be sharing the success program with everyone. So make sure you're in. Get your entire revenue share group in here, and if they can't make it in, make sure they get a copy of the video. But I'm looking forward to that. So thank you so much. I forgot Hank because I didn't see him in here. But anyway, yeah, fantastic stuff. Thank you, everyone. I'm going to try to get this posted up on the YouTube channel later today. I'll talk with you guys soon. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Dave.